Hello everyone, Weather Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is New Year's Day, Monday evening, January 1, 2024. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video, share it, subscribe and tap notification bell so that you'll be notified every time I post a brand new video. Feel free to leave a comment down in the comment section letting me know what the weather has been like in your area recently. Also, feel free to ask any weather related questions that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. Alright, so let us take a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening. We can still see that the northern sections of North Atlantic are being dominated by ridges of high pressure, not to mention multiple cold fronts. We can see one cold front right there to the north of the eastern Caribbean, stretching all the way up into the northeastern section of the North Atlantic. And we can also see another cold front affecting portions of the eastern United States. To the east of that cold front, a ridge of high pressure. And we know these things go. Below the high pressure, we have all of that easterly flow of trade wind, pushing all the winds across the main development region into the Caribbean. You can also see numerous broken orange or red lines scattered across the Caribbean. All of these are troughs. You can see a trough right here across the Cayman Islands, another trough right there affecting sections of the southern Bahamas, eastern Cuba, and Haiti, another trough affecting portions of the Leeward Islands. And we can also see another trough to the east or the northeast of the Leeward Islands. If we take a look at the visible satellite images of the Atlantic before the sun went down, we can actually see the clouds associated with that first cold front that we mentioned, stretching all the way up into the northeastern section of North Atlantic, all the way down into portions of the southern Bahamas, Cuba, sections of Haiti, sections of Jamaica. It was this cold front that was responsible for the cooler than average temperatures that we experienced on Sunday. And we can also see the clouds associated with that other cold front affecting portion of the eastern United States. If we look closer, we can even see the clouds associated with the numerous troughs. One trough right here across the Cayman Islands bring a lot of clouds into portions of Central America. Another trough right here affecting portions of Puerto Rico and sections of the Leeward Islands as well. We'll be talking more about the Caribbean weather later on. Let us focus our attention on the prediction that was made in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for today, Monday, January 1, 2024. It was stated that would have continued to be affected by the cold front. If you remember yesterday's video, we spoke about the northeasterly flow of winds that would have brought most of that rainfall, especially relief rainfall, to sections of northern parishes in Jamaica. You know, we're talking about sections of Portland, St. Mary, St. Anne, Trelawney, St. James, Hanover, and then as usual during the afternoon, we can't rule out some of these clouds spilling into sections of some southern parishes. So in turn, it's basically eastern, central, and western parishes being affected by everything by the end of the day. So we can actually see that the prediction came true as a post was made on our Twitter page. Not only our Twitter page, but our Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok page. So if you have one of those social media platforms, please ensure that you follow us there as we make other posts that are not made here on our YouTube page. So we can see this post that was made at 8:01 p.m. highlighting 8:01 a.m. sorry, highlighting the visible satellite image showing some amount of clouds, especially across northern Jamaica, bringing overcast skies and isolated showers to sections of St. James, Trelawney, St. Anne, St. Mary, Portland, and we can actually see the clear skies on the south side of the island. As usual, this is what usually takes place during the winter in Jamaica. Then at 2:01 p.m., we saw that the visible satellite images were showing more of those clouds, still affecting northern Jamaica, but it was starting to spill into sections of some southern parishes. So it was definitely eastern, central, and western parishes in Jamaica, just as predicted. We even had a follower on our Facebook page confirming the rainfall. Brian Stevens is stating it was raining outside, then after the rain, a slight drizzle in Kingston. So that indeed confirms their afternoon of rainfall. And we can even see the clouds right here on the visible satellite images before the sun went down, still affecting sections of some northern parishes, with some southern parishes getting in on the mix during the afternoon hours. And if we take a look at the latest infrared satellite images, we still see some amount of grays that represent some patches of clouds still passing through, maybe some isolated shower here or there. We can even see a burst of some slight convection right there off the southwest coast of St. Elizabeth, but that's just about it. And we can even see the rain bands associated with that burst of convection, a line of rainfall actually to the southwest of St. Elizabeth, as we can see on the Cuban Doppler radar image. Lots of greens and yellows that represent moderate to heavy rainfall. We can even see some amount of rainfall right there affecting sections of Hanover, St. James, sections of Trelawney, and maybe northwest St. Anne as we speak. Taking a look at the temperatures right now, we can see we have 26 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 27 degrees Celsius in Kingston, and by about 5 a.m. on Tuesday, the temperature should dip down to about 24 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 23 degrees Celsius in Kingston. As it relates to the temperature forecast for tomorrow, we can see that this map is from the GFS and it's showing 18 on Tuesday. When you calculate that, that's about 1 p.m. on Tuesday. And what do we see Jamaica embedded in? For the most part, Jamaica seems to be embedded in some grays, as we can see by the key on the right. The grays represent the zero on the scale, so that's average temperatures. But we do see that we're starting to get in on a little bit of yellow that indicate some slightly above average temperature, maybe 1 degree Celsius above average. And we are in the month of January now. 86.5 degrees Celsius, or degrees Fahrenheit, sorry, is about the same as 30 degrees Celsius in Jamaica. So we should be receiving anywhere from 30 to 31 degrees Celsius for Jamaica's temperature on Tuesday. As it relates to the dry air map, we can see that we still have some amount of dry air right here across the entire Atlantic. Not to mention the fact that we're seeing more in the way of yellows, oranges, and reds, as we can see by the key at the bottom. All of this is representative of dry air. I've seen some other channels talking about this is representing Saharan dust. No, this is not Saharan dust. Because if this was Saharan dust, we would have been seeing a lot of hazy skies. A lot of persons would have their asthma or sinusitis triggered. It's definitely not Saharan dust. It's a lot of dry air, and the dry air actually chokes off all the clouds, and we don't get as much rainfall, especially during the dry season. But this is the actual Saharan dust map, and this is the future. This is 2 p.m. on Tuesday, and we do see some slight browns that represent Saharan dust across sections of the main development region, but it's not that robust. It's on the low end of the scale in terms of Saharan dust, as we can see a lot of blues in there mixing around. So it's more Saharan dust and more moist air than anything else. The most vigorous plume of dust is usually across Africa. Taking a look at the wave forecast for tomorrow, we do see that for Tuesday, the waves that should be surrounding the island are the blues. And the blues, as we can see by the key on the bottom right, represent anywhere from 1 to 1.5 meter wave heights. And that's because the winds are going to be coming in from the northeast for tomorrow. Look at that. A very evident northeasterly flow across the island. And we know what usually happens. We have that rainfall, especially across northern Jamaica, with that relief rainfall, all of that air piling up, all of those clouds rising. Definitely gonna be getting in on more of that rainfall across section of Portland. St. Mary tonight, St. Anne, Trelawney, St. maybe section of St. James, Hanover tonight into tomorrow, and then we can rule out some of that rainfall spilling into sections of some southern parishes during the afternoon. So definitely a section of St. Thomas, St. Andrew, Kingston, St. Catherine, Clarendon, Manchester, St. Elizabeth, and Westmoreland. And if we actually take a look at the rainfall forecast now, these maps from the Euro and the GFS are showing the actual rainfall, and we do see that rainfall right here across sections of St. Anne, Portland, St. Mary, section of Eastern St. Thomas, as indicated by those blues on the GFS. Euro is a bit more robust, trying to incorporate section of Trelawney, St. James, and Hanover in there. Skipping ahead to about 4 a.m. now, so that was 12 a.m. that we just looked at. This is 4 a.m. on both the Euro and the GFS, and we still see much of the same sections of St. Anne, St. Mary, Portland, Eastern St. Thomas, keeping it to about 10 a.m. sections of the very same areas, spilling into sections of Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, St. Anne, St. Mary, Portland, Eastern St. Thomas. 2 p.m. Look at what we're starting to see. More of those blues that represent rainfall across eastern, central, and western parishes in Jamaica, especially on the south coast where we see those darker shades of blues. So definitely a section of St. Elizabeth, Manchester, Clarendon, St. Catherine, Kingston, St. Andrew, St. Thomas getting in on some of that. And we see that both the Euro and the GFS are in consensus with this. And then finally, we're starting to see more of that blue taper off, but we still have some of it at 5 p.m. on Tuesday across sections of the island, especially the northeast. So we'll see exactly what unfolds. Either way, the accumulated precipitation forecast, keep in mind that this map from the Euro and this map from the GFS is showing all the rainfall total amounts that are expected within the next 24 hours from now up until 10 p.m. on Tuesday. Not saying that it's going to be raining all the way up until then, but within the next 24 hours, these are the areas that are going to be picking up the most rainfall. So definitely a section of northern Jamaica where we see those greens, yellows, oranges, reds, especially we see those reds that indicate up to 1 inch of rainfall, especially for section of St. Thomas and Portland. The Euro model not so robust, only up to 0.47 of an inch of rainfall across the northeast. GFS definitely in the reds, going all the way up to 1 inch. And we're indeed grateful that we're going to be getting in on some amount of rainfall. We are in the month of January. We usually receive up to 97 millimeters of rainfall during this month, and we know that majority of that rainfall is usually confined to northern parishes in Jamaica. So we'll take all the rainfall that we can get before we get into the peak months of the dry season, that are February and March. Alright, so that is it for the forecast across Jamaica. Let us focus our attention on the rest of the Caribbean. So as stated, we have numerous troughs and the leftover cold front across sections of the Greater Antilles, section of the Caribbean still affected by a trough, the Leeward Islands, Puerto Rico, not to mention sections of Guyana, Venezuela, sections of Colombia, Nicaragua, Honduras, Guatemala, sections of Belize. And if we take a look at the Doppler radar images of the northeastern Caribbean, we can actually see the greens that represent a amount of light to moderate rainfall. For the most part, across sections of Puerto Rico associated with that trough, not much taking place across Anguilla, St. Martin, St. Kitts and Nevis, Antigua and Barbuda, Montserrat, British and Virgin Islands. But anywhere from Guadeloupe southward, we do see those rain bands. The Barbados radar, some rainfall right there affecting sections of Martinique, especially eastern Martinique as we speak. Maybe sections of St. Lucia tonight. Maybe some one or two sprinkles across Barbados. You can see that those rain bands passing to the north and west of there. We do see some rain bands to the east of St. Vincent. The Grenadine Islands seem to be in the clear right now. But we do see some rain bands to the far east of Trinidad and Tobago. Maybe Tobago might pick up on some amount of rainfall tonight. We'll see exactly what unfolds. However, as it relates to the wider view of Doppler radar images, we don't see much happening at all. We do see some amount of rainfall taking place as we speak across sections of Guyana. As it relates to the temperature forecast for tomorrow, we do see that this map from the GFS is showing 18 on Tuesday. That's actually 1 p.m. on Tuesday. And we see the below average temperatures represented by the blues, stretching all the way from the eastern US all the way down into portions of the Bahamas, eastern Gulf of Mexico, sections of Cuba, the Cayman Islands, sections of Central America. While we have those yellows and oranges that represent above normal temperatures, anywhere from northern South America all the way up into portions of the central and the eastern Caribbean. As relates to the Saharan dust forecast for 2 p.m. on Tuesday, majority of the Caribbean should be in the clear. We don't have much in the way of Saharan dust at all. Majority of what we're seeing across the main development region is dwindling. So it's not much in the way of Saharan dust at all, and we're indeed grateful for that. As it relates to the wave forecast, we do see that by the key on the bottom, the blues represent 1 to 1.5 meter wave heights, and that's what's going to be experienced across the Caribbean in terms of the waves, the ocean height by the seaside. So All of that is because the winds are not going to be that strong at all. We see more in the way of blues and some slight greens coming in from the east for the most part, averaging anywhere from 10 to 15 knots across the central to the eastern Caribbean, while the central and western Caribbean, including Jamaica, more so winds coming in from the northeast, averaging anywhere from 15 to 20 knots, maybe gusting to 25 knots, or we see those yellows. The Gulf of Mexico seems to be having those winds coming in from the east or the southeast. As it relates to the rainfall forecast, we do see that majority of the Western Caribbean should be in the clear. So, majority of the Yucatan Peninsula, the Cayman Islands, central and western Cuba, the northern and central Bahamas, sections of Florida. Well, we have majority of that rainfall within the next 24 hours expected for the southern Bahamas, eastern Cuba, the Turks and Caicos, northern Haiti and Dominican Republic, northern and eastern Jamaica, sections of Haiti might get on some of that rainfall, section of Puerto Rico that's already getting that rainfall right now. We can also see more in the way of rainfall for sections of Guadeloupe and anywhere south of there. So Dominica, sections of Martinique, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Barbados. We can also see some of that rainfall getting into sections of Grenada, Trinidad and Tobago, coastal areas of Guyana, sections of Venezuela. We can also see some rainfall across sections of Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica, sections of Nicaragua, Honduras, Guatemala, and even sections of Belize. And we know that when both maps from the Euro and the GFS are in consensus like this, the chances of it actually happening are much higher. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.